Coming up, we're going to look at that Panasonic portable 3-inch LCD color television with AM/FM radio. It's quite a rare piece, and it got a problem. So let's see if we can get this thing to work. Coming right up. As promised, I'm going to show this Panasonic 3-inch, I think it's a 3-inch, liquid crystal display TV. This was one of the first, if not the first, portable TVs that had an actual TFT screen. Prior to this, most had a super twist, like the Casios, for example. They had one of those super twist displays, which you had to look at it at a certain angle or it looked horrible. And Panasonic solved that problem with this one. So, I need to find something to put a signal through so that we can actually receive something on this, because it's a TV. So let me locate something to send a signal to it. So what I'm going to use is one of these Holland HMM 10H micro modulators with a little antenna. This will transmit a signal for a few inches so that the TV can pick it up. I've got it set to UHF channel 14, and with any luck, we'll get a picture on this thing. Well, we have a picture on here right now. It's just, well, you don't see much. Maybe if I kill some of the lights in here, you might actually see it. Because the backlight on this thing is just about toast. So if I turn on all the lights, there might be just enough light on this TV where you can actually see a picture. But there is a picture there. Oh, that's a little better. Just the contrast. But it's really dim. Like, we're talking a picture that is impossible to see. Let's try and brighten this thing up a bit. If I open this up, like you would do if you were watching it in the sun, and I shine a light in the back of it here, because this is designed so that it can actually catch exterior light. Like if you're using it outside, you could use it as a reflective display. Normally the sun would shine in like that and it would reflect off the silver back, and you'd get a picture. In this case, I'm just going to put my LED light source, which is a really bright LED light source. Put that in behind the screen, and I'll move the camera over so you guys can see it a bit better. It's got a real hot spot there right now from where the LED is sitting, but I can see the picture. So what you're seeing here on the screen, this blotchiness here, this is actually the liquid crystal panel itself is deteriorating. It's the organics in the liquid crystals are starting to go bad, and you're getting this blotch appearance, which is quite common on LCD screens. But when this worked, it actually produced a half decent picture. So say right now I'm just sending the picture over this little wireless modulator to go to the TV. It did have an AV input on it, and at one time I used to use this thing as a color reference monitor for my camera, and it actually had a half decent picture. Anyway, let's take a look at the backlight on this thing. If I press the little button down here to turn on the backlight, you'll see what happens here. It's well, it's not very bright. It's very dim. I don't know if it's going to get any brighter either. You can see when it tries to fire up, the fluorescent lights up, the filaments light up on one side. I don't know if it's the inverter that's at fault or the lamp. I have a feeling it's the lamp though, because it's got a spot in the middle here which is considerably darker. It's almost pink. So I think what's happening on here is the mercury has been absorbed into the glass and into the phosphorus on this. Anyway, I figure we'll take this thing apart. Got nothing to lose. It doesn't really work. Doesn't really have any value, so we'll take this thing apart and see what it looks like inside. So we'll start by removing the back. Oh yes, this thing took 6 AA batteries, but you could put in NiCad batteries, and they actually had a special, if I'm not mistaken, they had a special NiCad pack that they sold. And what it did when you purchased that special NiCad pack is it had a little tab, and it pressed a little switch here that would tell the unit that you had their expensive battery pack and that you could recharge the batteries. But without it, it would not recharge it. And of course, the trick was we just tricked this to, if we put run-of-the-mill like Radio Shack NiCad or nickel metal hydride batteries in here, we just make a little tab up and press the switch and just stick it in here, and it would recharge regular rechargeable batteries. That was a trick that we used to do on this thing. But let's just take out the screws and see what's inside this little unit. After all, maybe we can make the backlight work. I doubt it though. I think that the tube itself is probably toast. And the display is kind of foobarred anyway, right? But we will see. This is a CT312 for those that are wondering. Panasonic CT312. And there it is. It's got 2 little boards in it. It's got one board for your AM/FM stereo tuner, and it would play through the speaker. So if I plug this thing in and I put it into AM/FM mode, radio, and I don't know if it's going to work or not. It's on AM or FM. It's on AM, I believe. That's the switch. The switch probably could use to be cleaned. Here's the little speaker. Doesn't sound like it's receiving anything, does it? Let's try FM. We'll just throw a little bit of cleaner in there and see whether that switch will clean up. Okay, it's receiving FM. There's no antenna on it, right? So that'll be my little FM modulator with my royalty-free music at the bottom of the band there playing just right next to me here, a little transmitter I've got. Okay, that works.
Here you go.
Oh, we got some AM.
Purpose of your visit, just doing a little shopping. And what do you want?
Well, they're hoping they'd maybe get Devontae Parker back this week. He practiced for the
There's my AM transmitter. Complete with all the noise in the shop here. That works. So that's the little radio board here, and that's obviously a separate unit on this thing. Here's the TV board, and as you can see, it's all, there's some through hole I believe on there too, but it's mostly surface mounted components. I wonder if we can get that TV board out. I've never opened one of these units up before, but it looks to me there's a few more screws I can take out. I think probably if I take out these screws, probably the I don't know if the whole chassis will drop out or not. There's got to be a way to take that chassis out of there. It's got a flat ribbon cable that plugs in down here for the LCD. You can see it at the bottom here of the screen. There's actually two of them. One of them will be for the controls. This one here will be for the controls, and that one's going to be for the actual screen itself, I think. Pretty sure. Wonder what happens if I take out these two screws up top here. We'll find out, won't we? This would probably be easy enough, you know, to replace this strip with an LED strip in behind here. That would probably be easy enough to do to fix this thing if I was inclined to fix it. Just because it's kind of a neat piece, you know what I mean? Even though the LCD screen itself is pretty much toast. Now, there's a screw down here holding the board in. Okay, so there's the board, lifts out. Okay, there we go. Should be able to lift this whole thing out. Ah, there we go, there it is. Cool, so there's the light. And you can see that the ends of the tube are black. So this tube is going to be toast. And if we power this thing up, if I get my adapter cord here again, and we power this thing up, I put it in TV mode, and if I press this in, it should light up, which it does. As you can see, there's virtually no light coming off this thing at all. This little tube is pretty much toast, and I'll never find a tube like that. But I bet if I were to put some LEDs in here, then obviously I'll have to take out the inverter because this thing runs off high voltage. I'd have to take out that inverter for sure. But if I were to find some LEDs and throw some LEDs inside this this reflector, I could probably make this picture watchable, because it's not with the little fluorescent. It's definitely not watchable. It runs on 9 volts. Okay, I've made myself a crude LED array just out of some white LEDs that I gutted out of a flashlight. I'll give them 9 volts. Probably not going to give me enough light to light this display up, but we'll see. We'll try this. I'll just put this behind the screen here and see whether we get any more light out of it. I don't think it's going to be enough light to see anything, to tell you the truth, but hey, it's worth a try, right? I think it'll probably give off more light than the burned out tube for sure. And just to try this out, I'm just going to set this in behind this display here, and we'll see whether we get a picture. Oh, what do you know? We do get a picture. It actually looks brighter than the other one. But it's still not bright enough, but it's certainly is an improvement over what we had before, that's for sure. Maybe if I remove the dead fluorescent tube, if I can, from the reflector. Well, there, it's a lot better than it was, that's for sure. And it just shows what you can do with just a couple of little cheap LEDs. I'm sure if I got my hands on some brighter LEDs, I could make a brighter backlight for this. And maybe that's in the plan. Whoops. I shut my power supply down. Anyway, that gives you an idea what we can expect with this thing. Maybe I'll follow this up if I can find some brighter LEDs. A lot of these LED strips take 12 volts to operate, and I don't have 12 volts to give them. I have 9. But I might investigate and see if I can find a little strip of some LEDs, and we can try that and see whether I can get enough light to actually make this thing watchable. As you can see, as it sits now, the picture is actually not too bad. I'm probably going to pull a copyright strike for this because this is just stuff I got off the internet, and you know how a bunch of jerks, they can be on YouTube. But anyway, there it is. That's the little Panasonic LCD screen. And if I come across any any LEDs that will improve this, we'll make another video of it. I figured you guys might like to see this little antique unit. The first of the liquid crystal televisions. Here's something I found, and this might work. A 1 watt fluorescent. I wonder, will that fit in here? I might be able to fit this. Oh, it's going to be quite long enough, but it might cover most of the display. I wonder if I can power that up from the existing circuitry. Well, I guess there's only one way to find out. We'll take the lamp out of this little nightlight thing, and see whether I can put a lamp in there. That way I can keep this thing original. So I have this little fluorescent nightlight, and we'll just open it up here and see whether I can actually get the bulb out. It's going to obviously be soldered in place. It's not going to be a plug-in type, but it might just fit the bill if I can open this up without breaking it. And there's the little tube, complete with the capacitor dropper. It's certainly smaller than the original, but you know, it might just do the trick. Maybe let's just unsolder this thing and see whether I can actually make this thing work. I think I can probably unsolder the wires easy enough at least on this end. Just like that. The other side I may have to cut them, but at least I got this side out. And this other light, it only has it looks like the two at this other end are both been heat shrink together. They only use one filament, which is all we saw light up on this, so maybe it will fire that way. This one had them as two separate filaments on this side of this board here, but we'll just cut this from the dead lamp, and I'll see whether I'm able to attach this lamp to the inverter board and see if it will strike. Because if I could just sit that lamp in there like that, you know, it probably would look okay. And I think there's enough clearance that it can sit in here. It's obviously going to have to sit on its side though, because this one here has the ceiling. The fill tube is sticking out, so it's going to have to go in it like that. So let's just see whether I can connect these wires first of all and get this thing to work. I'm going to disconnect the LCD display here. I don't want to break these I don't want to break the ribbon cable, so we're just going to disconnect these. That way I can work on this without risking damaging the LCD screen. This one had a bit of foil on the bottom of it here to probably to reflect the light back up. I don't know if it matters which one of these I connect it to. I'm just going to try connecting to one of them here and see whether I get any type of light whatsoever from this thing. If I get some light, then I'll work on shortening up this lead a bit or tucking it in or something so that I can at least try and get the cabinet back together. But we'll see whether I get any light. If it lights up, then we're in business. Now, which mode is this in? It's that's radio. That's just TV. Okay, it lights. It lights up. I don't know if it's gonna be bright enough, but it certainly lights up brighter than this one did. Ha 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 ha! This might work. This actually might do the job. Might do the job. Let's hook up the LCD screen and see whether it does anything. I don't care what people have to say. I really don't. Because this thing's never really going to go back into service. This is just kind of a little project to see whether I can make it work. And if I can, great. It goes back into my collection. Not going to be watching any TV on it because, well, it's an analog TV, first of all, so there's nothing really to watch unless I want to input my own video signal, like I'm doing for the test here. But other than that, it's not really useful for anything. It's just more of a little project to see whether I could make it work. I think we might be able to sandwich this thing in here, and it might fit. It might be too. It might be too thick. We'll see whether it goes together or not. Okay, if I turn down all the big bright lights in here and just have a single bulb going, it's got a picture. Is it a watchable picture? I would say probably not. It's not very bright. I mean, you can watch it in a dark room. There's no problem there. You can see it. You know, if I shut out all the lights, it probably has what looks like a more acceptable picture. I don't know if my camera will focus on it. It's too close. But so if I turn out all the lights, yeah, you could watch that in a dark room. Not that you'd want to. But hey, it's brighter than it was with the burned out tube. The original tube, you're never ever going to find, ever. I don't think I'd ever find one of those. I might get lucky and find one in another like an LCD screen. If I rip apart a Handycam or something, I might come across one of these lights in them. But they typically had them they usually had them in the bottom on a lot of those cameras, or they had one on the top and the bottom. They usually were smaller than this. But anyway, there it is. It's working. For you guys wondering, did it go back together? Yes, it did. It went back together and it works. Although it's not very bright, as you can see. In subdued light, you can watch it, but under bright lights, it's pretty dim. Although you can see it. The camera won't pick it up because of all the lights on. Because right now I've got, well, probably about 6,000 lux in here, but hey, it is what it is. Okay, if I shine a bright light into the back of it, like this, okay, now you can see it. No problem. You can see it, no problem now. That's my little work light. One of my work lights that I can position over my bench. Anyway, that's it. Done. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.